Croeso and welcome to this online presentation from Saundersfoot School from myself, Mr. Nick Allen, Head Teacher. This parental workshop is based upon the Welsh National Tests and how we use them in school and how you can use them at home to support your child. The Welsh National Tests assess numeracy procedure, mathematical reasoning and reading. The national tests have been developed over the past few years and are now adaptive. In other words, there's an algorithm within them that adjusts the questions according to whether the last question was answered correctly or not. And this helps the process to ensure that pupils are assessed accurately to their performing ability. All children in Wales from years 2 to year 9 complete the personalised online assessments in reading and numeracy at least once in the school year. The individual school can choose when these assessments are undertaken. As a result of the work carried out by the school, we have been asked by the WJEC to share the good work via a case study. This is available through a presentation called Sway, and this resource has been shared with all schools across Wales and is available on our school website. The Welsh National Test data is just one piece of data that is taken on a day that provides information on where your child is on that individual day. The teacher would use this data alongside all other information we have from their work and their books within the classroom and around the school. We wish to stress at this point we use a number of information sources to support our understanding of your child and the progress they make. And one such data capture, such as the national test, does not reflect the pupil's overall ability. If you have any questions on the information provided, please speak to your child's teacher, as we have access to more data behind the scenes, which includes time spent on answering a question. And all this is important information to help us support you and your child on their learning journey. To access the personalised assessments, you will need to sign in via your child's hub account and password, and you will then be presented with this screen. After selecting personalised assessments, you'll be presented with this screen, and by selecting learner feedback, you will then have this screen and you can then select the feedback required. We shall look at numeracy procedural feedback now. This is a sample numeracy feedback screenshot from a Year 5 pupil, and all pupils will receive this type of feedback. Pupils get feedback on the hardest questions they've got right and some of the questions that they've got wrong. The feedback is grouped into skills, and each having a sample question to help the learner. The following slides show the sample questions. These are the PDF screen grabs of some of the the hardest questions the child got correct: multiplying and dividing by a 2-digit number, adding and subtracting a number, and understanding and using non-unit fractions. Likewise, these are the sample questions to help you and your child in the questions that they need more work on, or the ones that they didn't get correct in the assessment. Here you can see the screen grabs of using decimals, or when multiplying and dividing by 10 or 100, solving money problems, and finding the area of a square or rectangle. The document also contains information for staff and you as parents and carers. It identifies the feedback and the next steps in learning. Here you can see a screenshot of this information. This is a Year 2 numeracy example with PDF sample questions alongside the Year 2 skills that were assessed. And once again, these questions relate to the hardest questions and skills that the people got right. And this is a good example here of the type of question pupils do face. The question on the left here with the books has 2 parts and requires two-step function to answer the question, finding the total of the two books and the change from £1. These sample questions relate to the skills that people got incorrect and is an opportunity to revisit and practice the numeracy skills with your child. Once again, you can see and access what skills your child is able to do and which skills the pupil is likely to move on to. These next slides are taken from the reading assessment feedback from a Year 5 pupil. And similarly to the numeracy procedural assessment, the assessments provide feedback identifying the hardest skills answered successfully and those answered incorrectly, allowing you to again click a sample question to support your child. The reading sample questions have text to read and a sample question. This example is assessing the understanding of the main ideas and significant details of a text. This question focuses on using inference and deduction to understanding layers of meaning. Importantly, you can see some key words are explained here, helping to support the pupil understanding text that may be unfamiliar to them. The reasoning assessment is the newest online assessment and has only been online for 1 year. The following slides are examples of feedback provided to the teachers where they're able to access support material to support your child within the class. Here you can see the skills assessed in the reasoning assessment. This pupil has a more advanced skills in conceptual understanding and is average in the areas of logic reasoning, fluency, strategic competence, and by clicking on the blue circles you will see sample PDF questions. This is an example of a Year 4 question on conceptual understanding. Importantly, these questions contain examples displaying and supporting pupils in how some example pupils may have solved the question. This conceptual understanding question is based upon a graph and is a good example of the layers and levels of numeracy and reasoning needed to answer one question. This strategic competence question also demonstrates the level of numerical facts required to solve the question. These next slides show the individual pupil data. The school has access to both individual data and cohort data for the year group, helping to demonstrate how that group is performing within the school. This learner feedback for a Year 5 pupil shows the black circle being the most recent assessment with black triangles being the previous assessments. The black dashed line through the centre of the display is the national average for all learners in that year group across Wales. The dotted line is the boundaries of the likely progress of this child. This child is performing above the national average and at the higher range of their ability. This example of a Year 5 pupil shows how much progress they have made throughout their time in the school, going from one of their first assessments to just below the national average to then being above the national average. This Year 2 data shows the progress across the year, and it's the first time that these children have experienced this online assessment. Now, it needs to be mentioned here that these online assessments are just one assessment or one capture of data in a narrow window. In other words, it's on one day when that child may be feeling unwell, unhappy, and there are a number of other factors that may affect their performance. The teachers understand this, and this is just one part of the information that we would gather and chart the pupil's progress. For schools, one of the key bits of information is the age standardised scores or standardised scores. And this information is important for us as it shows the average standardised score across the learners across Wales, and is worked out by comparing the assessment score of the pupil with the other learners across Wales. An average score, the score in the range of 70 to 30, with an average being the 100. Here this pupil is performing at 120, so is above the average, and if a child is performing at above 130, that is well above a standardised score. The Welsh National Test not only provide learner feedback, they also provide familiarisation assessment type material. And here you can access numeracy questions, reasoning questions and reading questions to help your child become familiar with the assessment material. Here you will see screen grabs from the familiarisation material. The top left is procedural, and there will be about 10 questions within that. Similarly with the reasoning, which is the top right, followed by the reading. And these are opportunities for you to see and become familiar with the material and also work through with your child. And you can see some of the screen grabs there. There's a bit of a clue. It says this page requires scrolling. In other words, there's more information below. So it encourages the children to access all the material before answering, and is a real good source to help support your child become familiar with the national tests. Well, diolch yn fawr. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. We hope you found the presentation useful. We'd appreciate some feedback and information on that. Myself and the class teachers would welcome that as we look together to support our children on their learning journey.